Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 173, and I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fiber Nymph on Ravelry, Plurk, and Instagram. So today is Monday, September 21st. Had to look at my calendar. And hey, I can't believe we're this far into September already. Month is flying by. And it's been about 2 weeks since I recorded. Sorry, it's just been really busy. That's probably why the month's been flying by, because I've been so freaking busy. Anyway, hi, thanks for being here. I want to say hi to a few people if I can find my note. These people introduced themselves on the 90% Knitting board on Ravelry since the last time I recorded. Marika from Finland, Sally from Saskatchewan, Canada, and Cindy from Wisconsin. So welcome to the three of you. Thank you so much for joining us. And to anyone else who has not introduced themselves, welcome to you as well. Housekeeping issues. I wanted to apologize. I know my last episode did not go up on iTunes. It did not load correctly onto Podcast Garden. I tried several times. It wouldn't work. For all the good stuff about Podcast Garden, mainly being that that's how I can get it onto iTunes, their customer service, I will say, pretty much sucks, because I did connect with them. I contacted them asking, hey, what's going on? And I've still not heard back. At least I don't think I have. If I have, it did not come in the form of an email, so I'm not sure what to do. I'm really hoping that maybe it was just an issue related to my settings. I was trying to adjust settings again, still working on trying to get the quality of the video a little bit better for YouTube. I'm just reverting back to my old stuff this week and hoping that that will make the difference. I actually had to process my podcast 3 times last time. Now, granted, last time was a long episode, so I don't know. Maybe the length had something to do with it. I don't know. I don't think so, because I've had other long episodes that never had a problem. But yeah, anyway, I'm just going back to my old settings. As long as you're not watching me on a big screen TV, I think the quality is probably okay. And if you are, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can. I'm not technical in this way, and I don't have time to learn how to be technical, so we'll just do the best we can and keep on with things here. So let's get on with the knitting, shall we? If you remember, last time I recorded, I had so many finished objects to show you, and as things tend to even themselves out, I hardly have any finished objects to show you this time because I just don't. And actually, my finished objects are all sort of partial parts of big projects, mainly the Handspun Afghan squares. This is one of them. This is my Coffee at Luke's colorway that I dyed, I believe, for the last round that I did with the trifecta of awesome Yarn and Fiber Club, Heather and Melissa, Melia Bella, Heather from Highland Handmaids, Melissa from Keegan Lane Yarns, and myself. We did, I believe, 4 rounds of the trifecta of awesome. And this was what I did for this was my colorway the 4th time. So it's a Gilmore Girls reference, and no, it looked like there was something on there. This was Falkland that I dyed for the fiber part of it. I love this colors. I need to look up my recipe for this because I want to dye this colorway up for the shop at some point. I'm so bad about doing that. I often do not re-dye club colorways to put them in the shop even after their exclusivity period has gone by. I don't know why. I just never really have done that a whole lot, but I really want to do it with this color because I like it. Anyway, so this is one square finished, and then the second one is this, and I can tell you I have no idea whose fiber this was. It's one that I've had in my stash for a long time that I spun quite a while ago. It may have been something from Cozy Makes, but I don't remember. So anyway, I had a bunch of it, so I have one square out of it, and I actually have a second square started from more of it because I had a couple little skeins of it. So this is as far as I am on the 3rd square. These are just log cabin squares that I'm doing to make a Handspun Afghan at some point once I have enough of them. And this, as I told you last week, is going to be my football knitting for this season. Now, the thing is, you know, I work on these squares and then I don't work on them for a really long time. And then when I get back to them, it's like, oh, why didn't I work on this for such a long time? I love doing these squares, and I do, and then I don't want to knit on the other things, and I don't want to just leave them for football knitting. So I'm really trying to exercise some self-restraint there. And do them just during football, or at least when sometimes I sit out in the living room like before my son goes to work in the morning or something, and I just sit out there and talk to him for a few minutes. I'll sit down and I'll knit on one of those. Because the other thing is, as much as I love watching football, Steelers football, I don't always get to do that. Like yesterday, I didn't get to watch the game. I did get, actually, that's not true. I watched the game, but I wasn't at home. I was at a friend's house. There was a gathering going on. And it wasn't really a place I would have taken my knitting, just because it was a bunch of people. I hadn't seen any of them in a really long time. I just wanted to hang out and talk and socialize, and I wasn't taking my knitting to that. So I didn't get to knit last week during the football game. So then I feel cheated, and then I feel like, well, I deserve to make up my football knitting at another time other than during football. So anyway, I'm looking at these and I realize they're very different sizes. The yarn was clearly a different weight. My squares that I've done so far for this, and I've got a bunch. I haven't counted lately. I think I have at least like 16 or so that I've, maybe more than that. I know I have definitely more than that, but there's some that I'm definitely not going to be using in this Afghan. And they range all over the place in sizes. I'm going to block them, and if I have to put an extra edging around them, some of them to make them fit, it'll all work out. It'll be fine. Perfection is not a goal in this blanket. It's meant to be cozy and warm and fun, and a way to celebrate my handspun that often just sits up on my one shelf and I don't use it. So, alrighty, so those are my only finished objects this week. I'm sorry if I'm talking fast and I feel a little exuberant today. I think I feel over caffeinated, yet I'm not, because I haven't been drinking a lot of coffee. I used to make an entire pot of coffee and drink it all day long, and I had to stop doing it, and super strong coffee at that. A couple months ago, especially when I was having like a lot of anxiety issues going on, you know, like bouts of anxiety, I had to drastically cut down on my coffee because it seemed like it was making it worse. And indeed, it has been much better since I've cut down on my coffee. I'm happy to report that I've hardly had any anxiety issues lately, so that's good. But I only make, like, I fill my coffee pot up to like between the 4 and 5 cup mark on the pot, and that's all I make every morning, and that fills an average mug twice. This is my Monday mug. You maybe have seen it before. Anyway, it gives me 2 full mugs of coffee, which is plenty, especially because I usually end up having to reheat it several times before I get to drink it all. So yeah, I haven't had, and it's not super strong. I've kind of decreased the potency of it. It's not high test anymore. So I don't know why. I'm buzzing today. Maybe it's just the joy of it being a Monday. I'm one of those weird people who loves Mondays, just saying. So, all right, let's move on here. Next up, something that I thought and really hoped would be a finished object by this time is not. It's my Slinky Ribs pullover. Boy, okay, I have to get it out of the bag here. The last time you saw it, I believe I told you I was going to stop working on the length because it's almost as long as it needs to be, and I was going to do the neckband and the sleeves. Then, once I knew how it was going to fit up top, I'd know better how much more length I wanted to add to it. And that was an excellent plan, and indeed, I did get the neckband done. I had a couple of false starts on it, and then I finally decided to just do a stockinette band, which I knit out. I picked up about 2 for every 3 stitches, and I just did about 2 inches of stockinette and then bound it off, and then I went and I turned it under and just stitched it on the inside, and it looks great when it's on. And it doing the 2 for every 3 stitches as opposed to 3 for every 4 stitches, which is what you usually pick up on things, pulled the sweater up a nice amount. So the scoop, it's still a deep scoop, but not an inappropriately deep scoop. So neckband was a win. I did the first sleeve, which I picked up the stitches and realized they weren't equally distributed enough, so I pulled that out and I did it again. Second time was fine. I knit the sleeve and it's perfect. It's not very long. I didn't want it to be super long. It comes to about, I would say right here, which is a perfect length. Yeah, maybe here. Perfect length. So then I went, feeling very confident, I went and I picked up the stitches for the second sleeve. And see, the first time I did it, I put markers in. I put removable stitch markers, one at the bottom, one at the top, and then one on either side. So I basically divided the armhole in fourths so that I knew, since I needed to pick up 88 stitches, that I need to put 22 in between each of those markers to have them evenly distributed. That's how I did it on the first sleeve. The second sleeve, I threw caution to the wind and said, I can eyeball this. You know where this is going, right? Yes. So I did it the first time, and I knew they were not right, so I pulled it out. I did it the second time, and I thought, oh, that looks great. And by the time I got back around to the bottom of the armhole, I thought, I'm perfect, 88 stitches, they're nicely spaced, wonderful. So I commenced doing it's a short row cuff that you're actually knitting on as you go. I love that, or not cuff, sleeve cap. I love that kind of sleeve cap as opposed to doing a set-in sleeve. I don't mind doing set-in sleeves, but I prefer this method. And that's what the pattern calls for too. So I did it, and I finished the whole sleeve. But when I got down to this point, actually I didn't finish the whole sleeve. When I finished the short row part, and then where you commence or recommence knitting the rest of the sleeve together, I realized I have more stitches on here than I should. I had 10 more stitches in this sleeve than I should. So instead of picking up 88, I'd picked up 98. And every knitter has done something like this, where you realize you've made a huge mistake, and yet you go into denial mode. And so my first thought was, well, maybe it won't be that obvious. Since it's ribbing, it's a ribbed sleeve, it's going to pull in, I thought. It'll be fine. But just to be sure, I'll decrease a few extra times to get rid of some of those extra stitches. This isn't an exceedingly long sleeve to have a whole lot of space to do a lot of decreases. So I decreased really rapidly to get back to that closer to 88 stitches. And then I thought, you know what? Maybe I should try this on just to see what this is going to look like, if it's going to feel weird. So I tried it on. And honestly, the sizing of the sleeve wasn't so much the issue. What was the issue was my sleeve cap, which should have been up here at the top of my shoulder, was about 2 inches to the back. I probably said a whole lot of bad words at that point. Tore the darn sleeve out, just ripped it out, and put it in timeout. Now, this is not the fault of the pattern, it's not the fault of the yarn, it's not the fault of the sweater. It is my fault because I did not do my little stitch marker thing so that I was evenly picking up the stitches to begin with. Never mind the extra 10 stitches. The fact that I had my sleeve cap situated 2 inches to the back, I would have to be very, very deformed for that to have fit right. So I've not touched it since then. It's been about a week. It's in timeout. It needs to be in timeout. We're just not. It needs a break. I need a break from it. And I know one of these days I'll be ready and I'll pick it up and I'll do it correctly and it'll be fine. Because I know once I pick the stitches up correctly and evenly, it will be fine. The first sleeve turned out great. Now is just not the time. So that's why that is not a finished object this week. But I did work on other things. And a couple of things got a whole lot of my attention. Matter of fact, this is the project that has gotten most of my attention. By the way, that was the Slinky Ribs pullover by Wendy Bernard. Oh, excuse me. From the book Custom Knits. that I'm knitting out of Mirasol Hacho in color 305 on US 6 needles. Sorry, I didn't give you all that information. All right, the thing that I honestly worked on the most was my Augustine, I don't know, I'm calling it a scarf, shawlette, whatever you want to call it. It's going to look like a scarf. That's how it will end up being worn. I am absolutely loving this project. So this is one of those scarves that you do halfway and then you weigh it, you weigh it as you go, and once you reach about the halfway point in your yarn, you start doing decreases. So you're increasing and then decreasing. I am now in the decrease section, and it's funny because it's just curling like crazy. It looks like a long tail or a tentacle or something. But here's where I was when you saw it last. I had really just started it last time. So I've done all of this since the last time you saw it. So it increases up to about here. And then I honestly didn't think I was to the point where I was halfway through the yarn, and I was glad that the one day I decided I should probably weigh this, and I weighed it and I was at 56 grams. Now the only downside is I did not think to weigh the ball before I started knitting at all. I know it should be 100 gram skein, maybe a little more. I'm hoping not a little less, because whenever I got to that 56 grams, I thought, okay, I'll stop here and I'll start doing the decrease section. Well, I didn't realize there was actually several rows that you do before you start doing the decreases. So I waited again once I got through that little interim part, and actually, you know what? I'm telling you this wrong. It goes up to here, where this drop stitch thingy is. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, before you start doing the decreases, they start around here. Anyway, I waited, and I had 52 grams left by the time I was actually truly starting to do the decreases. So as long as it was a 100 gram ball, I'm still good. If it gets to the end and I'm going to run out, I'll deal with that when the time comes. I'm hoping that won't be the case, though. Anyway, I am absolutely loving how this yarn is working up. This was a skein of Diabolical, her Strong Arm Skinny. Here's her label. Strong Arm Skinny, which is 80/20 superwash merino nylon, approximately 100 grams, 400 yards. And it was an unnamed colorway, so it was a one-of-a-kind. Total beautiful fall colors, and there has been remarkably little pooling. Like, I can see, looking at it on the screen, right here, there's sort of a pool of that brownish red. But other than that, the colors have just played out really, really nicely. Yeah, I mean, they're just dispersing beautifully. And this is the reason I've been working on it so much is I can't wait to wear it, because this is a perfect fall accessory. It will be. So anyway, as you can see, I have done 2 decreased sections because I've been able to drop 2 different rows here of stitches. So I've done 2, and they'll progressively go faster now because I'm decreasing every 4 rows. There's a decrease. So I'm really enjoying it. It's a great pattern. It's well written. Haven't had any confusion. Here's what's left of my ball. It doesn't look like much, but again, I'm decreasing, so the yarn won't be going as quickly. So, anyway, and these are US 3s I'm using for this. So, hopefully by the next time I record, that will be a finished object. And then I can't wait to block it. I know, I'm horrible at blocking, but I can't wait to block this because I'm going to block the bejesus out of it and really open it up so that I hopefully get a nice flowy, loose fabric. That's what I'm really looking for, that'll drape really nicely. So that has been the project that I've probably spent the most time working on since I talked to you last. The other project that I have also put a fair amount of time into is my son's sock, the blueberry waffles, or the zombie waffles as I'm calling them, because I'm using the my double tap colorway, and this is in my new base, the Squish 2.0 base, which is the Corriedale nylon blend. I put in the stitch marker here. I'm going to do an afterthought heel, and I did not put yarn in, because remember, I'm now a convert to doing the afterthought heel without waste yarn. But I've found it really helps if I at least put a marker in for where I'm starting. I'm going to start the heel, which in a patterned sock isn't so difficult to know, just because once you get to that point and you start knitting the sole stitches, you're going to knit them in stockinette, right? Right. Except if you're me, you forget that you need to do that, and you knit about 2 inches before you realize you were supposed to be doing half of the stitches in stockinette for the bottom of the sock. And then you have to rip it out and you have to do it again. There was a lot of ripping in these last 2 weeks. Can I say that? So anyway, I had to do that. I ripped it out and then reknit it, you know, pattern on the front, new pattern on the bottom. And it's coming along. I'm really enjoying it. I had him try it on before I got to the heel part just to make sure. It looked super big to me, but I think it's just because the yarn's fluffy. And it fits him fine. He's got big feet, so it's fine. So I have been putting some time into this. Not a ton, but that's only because I want to finish the Augustine. But the Blueberry Waffles pattern is the one that I'm using, and that is by Sandy Turner. And again, I said my double tap colorway on US 1.5s. So that has seen progress. A couple of other things that have seen a little bit of progress. Not as much as I would have liked, but I only had so much time. My shawl that I'm just sort of doing on the fly without a pattern. What was I calling it? My pumpkin something. Pumpkin season shawl. The last time you saw it, I don't think I had done this last orange segment. So I've done one more orange segment, and I've started the next green and rusty red section. I'm doing these so that each orange segment is a little bit wider by about 4 rows. So this was like 8 rows, this was 12, this was 16, I think. I may have gone even further than 16, just because I have so much of the orange yarn and I want to use as much of it as I can in this shawl, whereas I only have 1 ball each of the green and the red, so I need to temper that. But again, I'm designing it on the fly as I knit it. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with this red and green section, if I'm going to do another one like I did the last time, putting that garterage of green in the middle, or if I will do it like the one prior where I just did red. So I don't know. We'll see what I feel like doing once I get to it. But this is, again, just sort of my default memorized elongated triangular shawl pattern, where I do increases on the ends on both the front and the back, and only increase in the center on the front. So, and I'm using the yarn that I'm using. The green and the rusty red, these are Queensland Collection Kathmandu DK. Oh, that's still attached, I think. Sorry. Anyway, that's what those are. They're a Tweedy yarn. They're nice and soft. The other is Plymouth Tweed, which obviously is a tweed. It's listed as an Aran. I consider it more of a worsted. It's knitting fine together with the Kathmandu, so it's all good. It's color number 5327. I don't remember what the other color, the Queensland, the red is number 434, the green is 433. I'm using US 8s, and again, I just didn't have a whole lot of time to put into it, but it's an easy knit, so when I do work on it, I get a fair amount done. And lastly, the other thing that I worked on this week was my sparkly sock, my bright sparkly rainbow socks, which, if you remember, I cast this on specifically to have to take with me when my son and I go see movies, because there for a while we were seeing movies an awful lot, like weekly. Not so lately. We haven't been to a movie in several weeks now. But I'd cast it on because I wanted to see how it was going to knit up. And this is where it was the last time you saw it. Since we haven't been to a movie lately, I've started using this as my, when I'm talking on the telephone knitting, because I don't have to think about it. And I don't talk on the phone that much. I'm not much of a phone talker. I text with people more than anything. But when I do find myself, you know, on the phone for an extended period of time with my mom or whoever, I've been picking this up and just working on it. So it's good mindless knitting for that. And I love the colors. This is a sock blank. This is from Knitty and Color. I picked it up at Maryland Sheep and Wool this year. And so here's the whole thing in its beautiful, colorful glory. It doesn't really have a colorway name. She just had it listed on the tag as blue, yellow, pinks, and it's her sparkle base. No, that's not her. I don't know what I did with the label for it. But anyway, sparkly. It's a Stellina base. It's knitting up really cool. I love the colors. I love how they're playing out in the sock. But again, it's just not getting a whole lot of attention right now. I'll probably make this a longer sock than my usual, because honestly, my usual, I'd probably be getting ready to do the heel around this point. But this is a huge sock blank, and I want to use as much of the colors as I can. I know I won't use it all, but I want to use more than that on the cuff. So that will get some more love before I put the stitch marker in for the heel on that one. And really with that one, I probably don't even need to bother putting a stitch marker in. I can just knit as far as I want to and then do a toe. Yeah, because there's no patterning to that really. Okay, so what else? I have not started the second barn dance sock. You saw it here. Oh, let me reach. This was the first barn dance sock, my new colorway barn dance. You saw the first one last week. Also, my new base, my Squish 2.0. Squish 2.0, not Squish with an I. I wanted to have this finished so I could show it to you since this colorway was going in the shop last time. Excuse me. But since I have one sample sock, I'd rather work on the other stuff first and get some of these other things finished, especially my socks for my son because he would really like his socks. So the second barn dance sock will come eventually, but not right now. So that has been all of my crafting this week. I did not do any spinning. Just didn't have time for that. So yeah, that's it. Let's move on to the alphabet cal. It continues. We're in our last month, and oh my goodness, there's only like a little bit over a week left for it. Amazing. It's really, this month has gone so quickly. Craziness. I announced the winners for August last time. I've only heard from one of you. The other two of you, please PM me if you were the winner so that I can get your prizes out to you. I have not shipped the one prize that I did hear from the person. So if that's you, please just hang on. I promise I'm going to get it out to you. Anyway, September is the last month, so this is the letters T through Z. There's a lot of people posting finished objects already, which is awesome. The prizes for this month are one more $10 gift certificate for patterns from Melinda Vermeer. So thank you again, Melinda. I have a skein of yarn that was donated. Oh, where'd the tag go? Hang on a minute. I'm going to stand up. The ball band escaped. This is from Undead Yarns. Heidi was kind enough to donate the skein of yarn. It's on her Vampiri base. Every day is Halloween. It's a self-striping, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 462 yards. You have a fingering weight. So this is a wonderfully seasonal colorway. So somebody will win that in September. And lastly, I have one of my autumn colored flurry kits to make the flurry cowl. So that will be our third prize. And that comes with the pattern for flurry. You can download it for free on Ravelry with the pattern code that comes with the yarn. So those will be our prizes for September. Now, last time I mentioned that the grand prize, if you've participated all 4 months, if you had at least one qualifying entry in all 4 months, then that makes you eligible for the grand prize. And the grand prize is going to be a $100 gift certificate for my shop, Fiber Nymph Dye Works. Excuse me. And I said that was going to take some participation on your end, and it is. And let me explain that so that you can already be in this mindset. There's nothing you need to do right now, but after I close September, that's when you will need to do what you're going to need to do. And what you're going to need to do is I'm going to open up one more thread, the grand prize thread, and you will post one post that tells me which post number your entry was in for each month. So you'll put June, post number, whatever, July, post number, whatever. You need to do that so that I can just look at that post, go back to those other 4 months and verify that you had an entry, a qualifying entry in each of those months. And that will be, as long as I can verify that from what you've put in there, that will enter you into the grand prize. If you have done a qualifying entry in all 4 months, but you do not post in that grand prize thread, you're going to be out of luck, because I'm sorry, I just don't have time right now to go through everybody's thing and make sure that I've got everything correct. Even though I'm using databases and everything for this, I need this to be something that you're proactive with if you want to be entered for the grand prize. So I'm just putting that out there now so that you can be ready. You can go back, look at those other threads, know what your post number was, so that you're ready to list that whenever the time comes to do so. And I will let you know about that the next time I record, because the thread will probably be open by then. So, all right. New things. I have a bag problem. Hello, my name is Lisa. I am addicted to project bags. Didn't buy any yarn, I don't think, this past couple of weeks, but bags I hit pretty hard. In fact, it was sort of a binge, I think, because all 3 of these arrived in the mail on the same day, which was sort of funny. I don't remember in which order I even ordered them, but I'm just going to share them with you. This is the first one. I love bats, okay? I like the real ones that flit around outside at night. I love those. I love watching those, like when we're down at the campfire or the fire ring in the backyard. They're always so much fun. But I love the cartoony bats that you see around Halloween, and this is a wonderful project bag. This is from Bead Sisters, B-E-D-E, Sisters, and I will link this in the show notes. I apologize, I never got show notes up last time. I'm sorry. If you have questions about anything from the last episode, just post and I'll be happy to answer them, but show notes just didn't happen. Anyway, she did an update and I caught it, and this is just the most adorable, and the fabric is sparkly. So you've got this great sparkly bat fabric and then this fun little white and green polka dot fabric on the inside. It is quite wide on the bottom, so it will sit up nicely. I'm gonna have to move some of my projects, my old projects, into the new bags just to have fun with them, since they are all seasonal actually. Anyway, so this is a really nice size bag. I'm really, at this point, not buying bags that are any smaller than this, because I've got tons of little itty bitty like sock size bags, tiny bags, and I don't use them very often. I like roomier bags. So this is probably about the smallest bag that I would buy at this point. So this is a new one, fun, added to my collection. This one, this is a drawstring bag, and this is for Sew For You, which is the same lovely lady who did the glamping bag that I have, and that was the card that I started putting out. I don't know where her card is that came with this one, but here's her card. It's Sew For You. It's Courtney. I know that did not focus, but basically she's an Etsy shop. It's Sew For You, all one word, SEWFOREWE.etsy.com. I don't remember what Bead Sisters is. I think she's an Etsy shop also. Again, I'll put the links in the show notes. So anyway, Courtney does these little wedge bags, but she also does drawstring bags, and I just love this one because I love pumpkins, and it's a pumpkin-y time of year, as you know. So drawstring, it's lined. The inside is the same fabric that's up here at the top. Really cute. I love these kind of bags because they're so squishable, and you can just put them in a larger bag or a purse or whatever. So love it. And lastly, my last bag is from Jenna Rose, which I didn't really even know about her, and then I can't remember whose Instagram I was looking at that I saw a bag from her, and then I found her Instagram. And apparently she not only makes the bags, but she has her own like studio set up where she prints her own fabric too, which I think is so cool. I'm pretty sure that's the case. If I'm misrepresenting that, I apologize. But anyway, it's called Jenna Rose. That's her thing, and she's www.jennarose.ca. She's from Canada, and she is also on Etsy. Again, it's Jenna Rose Handmade is her Etsy shop. And here's the bag. Isn't it great? Oh my gosh, I absolutely love this fabric. Acorns and oak leaves on this really pretty, I don't know what kind of fabric this is. I'm not a fabric person, and I forget what it said in the listing. It's a nice heavy fabric though, and a really heavy duty zipper on it as well. Like, it's not one that's gonna break easily, I don't believe. Not that any of my zippers really ever break. But the inside is the same type of fabric, just a different color. Really well made. And again, oh, it's linen. It's not the same fabric. Oh my gosh, I'm telling you all kinds of incorrect things. 100% linen is the outside. The lining is 100% cotton. She actually has like a little how to care for your thing tag on the inside. I didn't notice that until just now. Handcrafted in Canada. So there you go. Those are my 3 new bags, and I'm going to be moving projects from my other bags into those bags just to keep things seasonal here, because that's very important. And it's just fun to use new project bags too. Alrighty. A couple of new, I don't think I have anything else new, like stuff. I don't remember getting anything else new. I don't know. A couple of new podcasts, though, that I wanted to mention. Jan, who I can't remember what her Rav name is. I'm sorry. But she has started the Knit Sense podcast, which is it's one word, knit sense, as in the smell, SCENTS, Knit Sense, all pushed together. Her podcast is, obviously it's knitting related, but she's also a Scentsy rep. So she sells the scented stuff, the stuff that smells good with the burners, and it all works off of light bulbs. And if you're into that kind of stuff, you probably already know what it is. I had no idea what Scentsy was. So it's been really interesting watching her podcast and learning about it. I don't have any of it, but it's very enticing because I love burning candles and things in the cooler months, so I may end up getting something from her at some point. But anyway, her podcast is really fun. I like watching it. I like seeing about the candles. You know, it's not candles. I don't want to say candles, but the scented stuff that she sells. And then her knitting, because she is a very, very talented knitter. And I've known her for a long time online, and I've met her a couple times, like up at Ravelry, and I think I've met her at SSK, and her daughter, and it's just, she's a wonderfully sweet person. I love her dearly. So please feel free to check her podcast out. Even if you're not into scented things, check her out for the knitting, because it's worth it. The other podcast that I've started to watch, and you've probably heard it mentioned on other podcasts, is Made with Carlenergy. Her name is Carlene, and she's a knitter, and she's got a cute little bird that loves to tweet during her chirp, not tweet, not like on Twitter. You know what I mean. Chirps throughout her podcast, and I love the sound of a bird. I don't know why. It's just like a happy sound. So anyway, she knits all kinds of really fun projects too. I have not seen all of her episodes. I know I watched the first one, and I just this morning watched her most recent one. I've not had a chance to watch the other ones in between yet, but she's a good podcast, so check her out too. I feel like there was probably more podcasts than that I've watched, but I can't remember what they are, so I'll mention them later on at some point. Anyway, the only other thing I was going to also mention was last time I recorded, I talked about the fact that I was considering driving down to the Shenandoah Fiber Festival, which is going to be this coming up weekend. I've decided not to do that. Not because I don't want to go to the festival, but it's just a long enough drive that I don't want to do it all in one day, because that's a lot of driving in one day, especially with a festival in between. And it's a small enough festival from what I've heard that I don't really want to do it for 2 days. You know what I mean? I mean, I can get through Rhinebeck all in one day and not really have a lot that I want to do a second day. I'm usually good for being at a festival for one day. So I don't want to pay for a hotel just to spend the night just to drive home the next day. Does that make sense? Because I'm not going to take any classes or anything like that. So Shenandoah is not happening for me this year. Sorry if I got your hopes up that you might run into me. I'm sure you're going to have a great time regardless of whether I'm there or not. But anyway, there were so many things I could do next weekend. It's crazy. There's a backpacking trip with the group that I do outdoorsy stuff with. I could have done that next weekend, but I decided not to for a bunch of different reasons. There is the Scottish Highland Games, which happens every year about an hour east of me, and I've never been to it, and I really, really would love to go sometime, but that's on Saturday. So that was an option. But then on a total different end of things, I decided I'm going to go visit my son in North Carolina. I haven't seen him in over a year, and he asked me recently, he's like, hey, are you going to be able to come down and visit anytime soon? And I told him, I said, I've really been thinking about it. I have to figure out when I can do it because I'm super busy right now with work. And I decided that this weekend would, originally I told him maybe Halloween weekend, that might be the soonest I can get down there. And then the more I thought about it, this coming weekend is actually my birthday weekend. Sunday's my birthday. I said, how about this weekend? I can make it work this weekend. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm flying out Friday. We'll be back Sunday. And the only way I can do it is if I fly. It's a 10-hour drive to where he's at in North Carolina. And unfortunately, he's nowhere near my daughter, so I can't see her too. But I'll at least get to see him and his girlfriend and her kids, and we'll get to hang out for a few days, which I'm really, really looking forward to. So it'll be a good way to spend my birthday weekend. And with any luck, I might get to dip my toes in the Atlantic Ocean for a little bit because he's really close to the ocean. So I'm crossing my fingers that that'll work out. So that's what I'm going to be doing this coming weekend. So other than that, let's see what's going on. Last time I talked to you, my pellet stove had been delivered and installed, and I was awaiting my delivery of 4 tons of pellet stove pellets. They did indeed come. I believe I posted pictures on Instagram of that. I've relocated 2 of them, 2 pallets worth already. I have 2 more to move. There's 50 40-pound bags on each pallet. So it's not a fast thing to do that, but it's fine. I did half of them in one day, and I just haven't had time to do the other ones. And one I can't move anyway until I get all the stuff off of the porch and into the new shed, that's the other thing, the shed. It's a 10 by 14 lofted barn. It's big. And it looks huge. It was delivered, when was it delivered? A week ago today, I think. Yeah, it was a week ago today it was delivered. And when the guy brought it, that was another thing on Instagram. I was amazed at how he could maneuver this thing into my driveway from the back of this truck with this remote control. It was just really fun to watch. Anyway, it came and I looked at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks ginormous compared to what it looked like on this huge lot that I originally saw when I ordered it. It looks so big, but I love it. It's wonderful. It's going to be able to house so much stuff. Although I had to build a ramp, and I have to do some outfitting on the inside. It's already got 2 lofts in it, one on either end. But I needed to build a shelf and put some things to hang things, and I was reinforcing the flooring with a second layer of, okay. My computer's doing something weird, and I'm not sure if that just messed up the recording or not. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping it didn't. Anyway, I reinforced the flooring with the second layer of plywood so that it'll be super strong. I hung a shelf. I hung some ladder hooks, and I built a ramp. I had to build a ramp because it's about 8 inches off the ground, and my tractor obviously does not have hover mode. So I did get my ramp built last weekend, and it functions fine. So I'm about ready to start moving stuff off the porch and into the building. And I can't wait to get that process underway. Hopefully, maybe later today, I will get to start doing that. And then once all that stuff is moved, then I will be able to move the last pallet of pellets over to the far end of my porch. So it's a process, let me tell you. Other than that, reading wise, I started listening to a novel from Audible called The Winter Sea by Susanna Kearsley. I downloaded it in a little downloading binge when I had a bunch of credits, probably a few months ago, maybe even longer ago than that. And I think I downloaded it as a recommendation from Audible because I had purchased Outlander at one point, which I never finished listening to. I just can't get into it. I don't know what it's wrong with me. Everybody else loves it. I have issues with it. Anyway, The Winter Sea is really an interesting book. I'm enjoying it. It's kind of written on two different storylines. There's the present day. The main character is an author who writes historical fiction. And so you've got her story being in Scotland doing her research for her novel, and there's sort of a romance thread through it as well. And then you've got the second storyline, which is the story that she's actually writing. So it's a novel within a novel, which is novel. For the longest time, I was actually enjoying the second novel, the one that the character is writing, more than I was enjoying the main story of the novel that it is, the modern day storyline. I think that's starting to flip now, though. I'm not sure. I'm nearly done. I think I've got a couple hours left in this book. I still can't quite tell where either of these storylines is going to end. There is a good chance they could both end badly, and I'm going to be really, really ticked off if that's the case. But there's also a chance that they could maybe turn out really good. So I'm enjoying it. Hopefully that doesn't give too much away in case you want to listen to it too or read it. But anyway, I'm enjoying it. Hopefully you would enjoy it too if you enjoy 18th century Scottish historical fiction with a modern day storyline as well. So it's kind of set at the same time as Outlander, the whole Jacobite revolution, Jacobite times and everything. Anyway, so yeah, that's been my reading. That's all I've had time to really listen to. What else? That's about it for the 10%. I do have some shop news. There will be a shop update this week on Wednesday, September 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern. I need to change that in my show notes. I was originally going to do it at 3. Then I realized I had a conflict and I can't. So I'm going to do it at 2 p.m. Eastern. So I'm going to pause right now. I have everything right here. I just need to move things around. So I'm going to pause and then show you what's going to go up in the shop. And if you're not sticking around for that, I'll say goodbye now. And if you are, I will be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. Alrighty, so the shop update will be on Wednesday, September 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern. I had originally, this morning when I put the note up at the top of the shop page, I had put 3 p.m. Eastern, and then I realized I had a conflict at that time because I have to be somewhere at 4 o'clock on Wednesday. So I moved it back just to 2 p.m. instead. So if you happen to have seen that in that very brief period of time that it was up as 3, I apologize. It's actually going to be at 2. Alrighty, so here we go. I dyed up a few more of the Halloween colorways because you guys really enjoyed those from last update, so thank you. There are still some pre-orders available of Barn Dance. I put a ton up just because I wasn't sure what people wanted, so there are still some available. I don't remember if all 4 bases that I had up are available, but I know there's definitely some still up there to be had if you're interested in Barn Dance. So I have not dyed anymore. There's pre-orders available. What I did dye more of, I have 2 colorways on Traveler Sport Weight. The first one is Old School Halloween. Again, this is the one that has the stripes. It's 2 stripes, and they go from small to larger and then back to small. The whole Doppler effect kind of look. Traveler, since it's a sport weight, it's a heavier weight yarn, and I always denote the beginning of the smallest stripe end of the skein with a button. It's usually a seasonal kind of fallish button, but because the Traveler is a heavier weight yarn than my fingering weight, I wasn't able to get any of those buttons on the yarn. It wouldn't go through the holes, so I just used yellow buttons on it this time. But that tells you which end, if you want to start with the smallest stripe to make whatever you're making, you'll know which end is which. So there will be 2 skeins of Old School Halloween on Traveler and 2 skeins of Hijinks on Traveler as well. So there's those. Then Bump in the Night, which was a new colorway that I introduced last time. There's 2 skeins of that on Bedazzled. Yeah, there's no more. I still have a couple things downstairs that haven't been reskeined, but that's not one of them. So anyway, and then there will also be 2 more skeins of Mystery and Magic, and it's also on Bedazzled. So I really love this colorway, and you guys have really liked it too. It's 7 stripes with different shades of the green, the earthy red, and the purple. So, all right, then I also did some other things that are not necessarily Halloween-y or fallish per se, just fun. So actually this is, well, 2 things. All right. I haven't done this colorway in a little while, but when I first created it, everybody liked it, so I wanted to do some more of it. This is Cosmic, which is a self-striping in the purple and the bright purpley pink and silver gray, and this is on Bedazzled. There'll be a couple skeins on Bedazzled, and there will be a couple skeins on Heavenly, my MCN base. So there is that. Then I decided I wanted to do this new colorway, which I've had a mock-up of it in my files for a long time, and I kept putting off doing it because it has pink and gray in it. I can't tell you how many, I mean, I've got a lot of colorways that have some combination of either pink and gray, or pink and black, or pink and black and white, or pink and gray and white, or whatever, or pink and black and gray. But the thing is, I love these combinations, and there are so many of them out there yet that I would love to do. And I kept putting it off just because I have so many already in my repertoire, but this one I just needed to do. So this is a new one. It's a 3-stripe colorway. There will be a wide stripe of this darker bright pink. Come on, focus. There we go. So a wide stripe of the darker bright pink, a wide stripe of the lighter pink, and then a narrow stripe of the silver gray. And I'm calling this bubblegum because it's definitely a bubblegummy kind of pink. And then as you chew your bubblegum, it fades and it becomes lighter. And the silver wrapper is what the silver gray is for. That silver foil that your gum sometimes comes in. So that's bubblegum. There will be 2 skeins of it on Bounce, and there will be 2 skeins of it on Bedazzled. So you can be looking for that. I don't know what that is. Okay. And then the other self-striping that I have for you this week, I'm actually going to be putting this up as a pre-order. And it is in general, it's a new colorway. It's never been in the shop before, but it was a colorway that I did for the club, the 6-stripe yarn club last year that I did. And if you listen to the first part of the podcast, I mentioned that I do not always do my club colorways again for the shop. But the whole idea of that 6-stripe colorway club was that I wanted to develop more 6-color striping patterns that I could use in the shop. So it would be kind of silly if I didn't use them. So this was the one that I sent out for the club last October. And that's how I'm going to do them. I'm going to start releasing them around the same time that I released them into the club last year. So last year's first shipment that was in October was this, and it's called After the Harvest. It's a 6-stripe colorway. It's basically a muted rainbow is essentially what it is. Now, the thing is, this is done in a two-step process, which is different than how I usually do things with overwashes. This is what it looks like before it's overwashed. Okay, it's much, much brighter. So I do this and then I let it, I do this whole thing. I don't overwash it immediately. I let it dry, I reskein it, and then I do the overwash after that. That's not normally how I do overwashes, just saying. But that's how I did it this time for this one, and I really liked how it turned out. So this is essentially what you got if you were in the club last year. Now, I will put this caveat out there. I do not have my original recipe that I used for the club. I have no idea what happened to it. It is lost. I've looked everywhere. So I recreated it. So if you did get this in the club last year, this will not match. It will not be 100% matching. It just won't be because I've had to recreate it. It's very, very close because I have a scan of it from the club. And it looks very, very similar, but it's not identical. So if you're trying to match something up, this won't do it for you. I'm just putting that out there. So anyway, I did this and I decided I just couldn't decide. I really, really like the unoverwashed, the brighter version, pretty much as I like the more muted version that has the overwash. So what I decided to do, instead of dyeing one or the other of these up to put in the shop this time, I am going to put these up as two separate listings, and they're going to be pre-orders. So you can choose which you would prefer. Actually, you know what? I may not do it in two separate listings. I may put it in one listing and then use the drop-down menu, and you can choose whether you either want the bright or the muted. That'll probably be easiest since it's the same colorway. They're both after the harvest. This one just has the overwash. This one does not. So I'll probably list, call them after the harvest bright, after the harvest muted. So anyway, but it's a 6-stripe colorway. I love the colors. And I hope you will too. And I hope that you'll like the fact that you get the choice. You can either have the light or you can have the dark. Light or dark. I think I did that wrong. So anyway, so that's the other self-striping that will be in the shop this week as pre-orders, and they'll ship out in about 6 weeks. No more than that anyway. I also did some variegated. As I was dyeing Barn Dance, this one stripe in Barn Dance is a variegated stripe, and as I was doing that, I thought I definitely need to do that as its own colorway, much the way I did with Sad Panda, because Sad Panda has that blue stripe that is a variegated with 3 different blues in it, and then when I dyed it by itself, I called it Ocean View, just that variegated striped colorway. So I have dyed up some skeins of the variegated stripe from Barn Dance. I did this on my Sunshine base, so this is 100% superwash merino. It's a 3-ply, 490-ish yards. And it's just got the earthy red, the gold, and the green from that variegated stripe. I love how this turned out. I'm definitely going to dye up some more of this on some other bases, but there will be 3 of these in the shop, and I haven't decided what I'm going to call this yet. So you'll see it, and you'll see what I've decided to name it once it's up in the shop. But anyway, there will be 3 skeins of that. And then this colorway, it really isn't it's not another version of another colorway. It's just some colors that I've so enjoyed using lately that I decided to put them together. And it's a very layered colorway. And I have not yet decided what I'm calling this one either because it's new. But the underlying colors are that really vivid violet color and that electric purple that breaks into both the purple and the pink. And then I've overwashed it with a couple of other colors. So it is a very deep, rich colorway, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. It's sort of similar to the colors that are in Cosmic, but it actually has some extra colors in it as well. But they all blend together so well that you can't really see. So I like how it turned out. Anyway, I also did fiber, and I wanted to do more fiber than I ended up being able to do, but this is what I could do this time, and so this is what you're getting. And all of these, or both of these, are on some BFL nylon that I still have. It's a limited amount. Once I'm out of it, I'm out of it, but I decided to use that for these. I did 2 braids of Cosmic. So this is Cosmic in yarn, and this is Cosmic in the BFL nylon. Fun. I love the purple pinky color, really, really pops on the fiber. I mean, it breaks even more, and there's a lot more of the pink in it. It's just a super fun color. I love that. So there will be 2 braids of this, and I did one. This is a 4-ounce braid. I have another that's closer to 6 ounces. Since it's got the nylon in it, if you want to spin it for socks, I thought maybe the extra yardage might be helpful, the extra amount of fiber. And then the other one, same fiber, the BFL nylon, and it's that same Barn Dance variegated stripe colorway that has not yet been named. So, and again, I did a 4-ounce braid and a 6-ounce braid. So, like I said, it's not a lot of fiber. It's only 4 braids, but I will do more. I haven't been dyeing a lot of fiber lately. Fiber tends to move a little slower than yarn, so I don't like to put a ton of it up in the shop, but I'll put these up, and if they sell, great. If not, that's okay too. They will eventually. So I believe that is everything that will be going in the shop this time. It's a smallish update, but hopefully it'll be things that you'll enjoy. So alrighty, that is everything. I am going to stop now and hope that processing goes better this time around than last time, and hopefully this will make it up onto iTunes as well. So that's it. I will probably not be talking to you again until October. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention. In the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group, the 3rd quarter finished object thread, that comes to a close on September 30th. So if you have knit anything out of Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn, if you've spun anything out of Fiber Nymph Dye Works fiber, or if you've used your Fiber Nymph Dye Works fiber that you've spun and knit something from that yarn, you are qualified. Those are projects that you can post in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group in the finished object thread for the 3rd quarter. And then I will close that after the 30th, probably early the 1st. And the next time I record, I'll do a drawing, and that's always a drawing for a $25 gift certificate to my shop. So you have a little over a week left to put any of your qualifying entries. They can have been started prior to the 3rd quarter, so they can, you know, the 3rd quarter is July, August, September. It can be something you started before that, but it has to have been finished within the months of July, August, or September. So that's the parameters for that one. So go ahead and post. I can't wait to see your things. All right, that's everything now, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.